Wednesday, October 13th, market analysis, Stan Ehrlich, 1:38 California time, a little after the close, traditional time frame, California. We have another, and I start out with stock market indexes, go to futures, and I've got a few stocks. And then I talk about other things like the upcoming, I expect, October lows. Usually the markets top out somewhere around August, September. Look at the charts on a monthly basis yourself, come to your own conclusions. But the October is not up for discussion. Over 90% of the time in the last 30 plus years, markets bottomed out in October, with many of them being very, very substantial buying opportunities, months long, investor buying opportunities. New high close in general today, except for on a couple. And we are well above previous historic highs and close to being overbought. Some indexes did get overbought today. So we are close, I expect, to a downturn, which we'll see how high we get in the interim, maybe another couple, 3-4 days up, and could be fairly sharp. Oftentimes, rally highs are very sharp blow-off type tops. So I am neutral to bullish, but cautiously in the indexes. And the 1 minute, 5 minute chart on the E-mini looks good. We've got no gaps to close. The S&P 500 Spider SPY came down just a little bit lower than the high of yesterday. After gapping up on the opening, came right back down, closed the gap, turned around, closed right back to where it started. And we have a strong close, the second time now, a new historic highs. Typical follow through. Again, maybe another couple, 3-4 days up. And the SPY 5 minute chart coming back firm at the end of the day. We are now overbought slightly. I mean, very slightly at the high of the day in the QQQ. So it could easily have another couple, 3-4 days or so up. This is Wednesday. I wouldn't be surprised if the next couple of days of this week were steady to higher. And again, there's a possibility of a really sharp one. We are now in territory for the potential of a bearish engulfing ER sell signal, which will be red, like the last one, which worked great, but only for 1 day. It went down a whopping amount, 10, I think, points the day after my bearish signal. Okay, so from that point, it's gone practically straight up. And now we're overbought again. And we do have some divergence potentials, not a new high in the index indicator, but new highs in price. So there's a possible divergence. What do we got for the 5 minute chart of the QQQ? Starting to come back toward the end of the day. Next, we got the NQ, which did not get overbought. Very close, almost, but not overbought. Maybe tomorrow. Closed poorly, around unchanged to the lower. Right now, that's where it's trading. I can't see anything majorly bearish at the moment. Looking for another couple, 3-4 days, maybe up. Next, 5 minute chart, NASDAQ, nothing here except strength. YM, very close to making new highs. Had 2 strong days yesterday and today. All of a sudden, we're right back up to where we've topped out twice before. And there is a chance of a bearish formation if we start going straight down from here, which we certainly don't look like we're about to do. But then, a lot of the time, bull markets stop on very big, strong up day closing near the highs. George Lang taught me that, Mr. Stochastic, with stochastics being a technique that he developed. Okay, so I'm bullish. I can't help but be, so I'm looking for new highs here. But I'm very skeptical. We're not even close to overbought. There could be, part of the next 2 to 4 days up, as I've been saying, a pop-up in the YM. Now, 5 minute chart closed on a strong note right near its high, making new highs. Okay, Russell is already making new highs. Yesterday it came close. Today there was that upside follow-through into a major resistance area, opening up the possibility of, over the next maybe a couple of weeks, maybe getting up to 25.38-ish, quite a bit higher, but that is also a hugely important long-term resistance area that we have just entered. But it's fairly wide, so there's not too many specifics. Right here looks like a real good one on a short term, 23.67. I should put a line on that. Oh yeah, I don't know what the hell happened here. Looks like there probably should have been. Good. Across a bunch of highs right in here. What was that? January, February. Then two other important highs way back in September, almost a year ago in October. All right. Next, we got simply the 5-minute chart on the Russell closing very strong like the YM. They have some similarities, the YM and the Russell. Bonds, the high today was exactly the high of yesterday, so it came so close to canceling out my bearish engulfing sell signal yesterday, which I think I used the phrase a nail in the coffin. That certainly didn't pan out today. We didn't have any lower lows. The low today was approximately unchanged, a little lower. The market simply held, came up, and almost made it above yesterday's high, which would have canceled out my reversal. Not a lot of hope at the moment because we're closing right near the high of the day also. So what do we got? I think I have to comment about the head and shoulder bottom being still alive, not kicking real strong, but we should not have closed like yesterday and the day before and the day before, 3 days in a row, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, below or at the neckline, basically below the neckline. That's a no-no. Normally, that's killing the pattern. And when I saw the bearish engulfing yesterday, you can understand how optimistic I should have been and was that we're going straight south. Maybe down to 11.13-ish, I probably said. So that's still on the cards, but as soon as we get above today's high, which is the same as yesterday's high, the bearish engulfing goes bye-bye, and I'm afraid the closes might start to climb, and the head and shoulder bottom is still intact. If that's true, we still have a really big upside objective of 122 plus. Next chart, support held on the notes, had an outside but down day yesterday, but in support, nowhere near oversold, which I would have liked if I'm trying to tell you that it was a bass-backwards reversal, but it's not, because I don't have all three of my things intact, only oversold and support, but we're not, I'm sorry, not oversold, only an outside trading range day and in an oversold condition, but not also itself, that bar, oversold. So, 2 out of 3. Today we jumped up, we made a high higher than yesterday. Looks like the bull trend is still intact on this. To support passed the test with stars and stripes. So that's it. I'm expecting a new high above 112. I got to go with the flow, obviously. Yep, don't see anything. Even if we get above 112, unless it's a really strong couple of days in a row, then we're going to be overbought. But it's going to take quite a bit. Next. Oversold in support today, the first time, hitting a support line, bouncing off of it somewhat. There's a chance that crude oil could turn back up a bit here. That's about the best I can say. Now, my bearish engulfing a few days ago has worked past tense. In fact, today's total range is even below the low of my bearish engulfing only 5 days ago. Yeah, so it worked. Now, if you haven't already, lock in a profit. You'd be crazy not to. So I think it's got good support. It's starting to show that. We might be turning back up. In which case, up to 68 and 70.5. Next, oversold second day in a row. The volume is dying. The vertical aperture range is getting smaller. Nothing else. I don't have any major support areas. The natural gas has been a head and shoulder top formation. It's been working great. You realize that this is now approaching 50% of my minimum downside objective, which is 1.15. And I've talked about that downside objective since approximately, and I'm sure before, June 25th. That's the breakout day. I saw it coming with a bearish engulfing right at the last shoulder high. Perfecto. Next. New low. Looks like a new low close by a very slight bit on heating oil. Support almost oversold, not quite. A tough one here. It might bounce a little. Don't trust the bounce if it does. Otherwise, I'm still looking for lower levels down to the support area, which would be at 2.09 and lower, of course. Excuse me. So, still bearish. We're between a rock and a hard spot on gold. Resistance stopped it 2 days ago on Monday, right smack at the top of the resistance in overbought condition. Came down big time on Monday, that is. Last Friday it was stopping. Monday came down, Tuesday a little bit more. Today's bounce is no big deal. I think we're going to still easily reach 3348.6 and very possibly get down to 33 flat. Now, closing below 33 changes the picture. It's a downside breakout. Next, silver might still be forming that formation I alluded to about a week ago. I started talking about it. And all I wanted to do is stay in this little range here for another week or two, which is one of the hardest things to forecast. Now, the market's going to go basically sideways. It's much easier to forecast up or down. Let's see if this can go sideways for a little bit, which would build a last shoulder high. Next, platinum. I don't know. Can't get a good, strong grasp on this. RSI neutral, closing in the same range, overlapping prices for well over a week, close to 2 weeks. Can't seem to follow through up, can't seem to follow through down. That's it, waiting. Next, we've got that big crash in copper that we can't recover from, hasn't done it yet. Finally crawling its way out of oversold. Closed a little lower. This is in a definite resistance area that I've had on the screen for quite a while. Can't get through it yet. As I said before, I think it could easily make another whole set of new lows by maybe a pretty substantial amount. At least down to 41,500. Whoops. 41,500. There we go, right there. So, looking for lower levels. But there is a chance, if we can close above today's high, that you could get another rally before the big break. Next, wow, what a bullish engulfing we had on Monday in soybeans out of the blue. Wow, what an upside follow through we had yesterday with new highs by a huge amount. And wow, another big rally today. You realize it's now closing at 1044 when the low of the day just 2 days ago was 984. 60 cents in 3 days. For soybeans, it hasn't done that in a long time. Something's up. I don't know if it's weather forecasts, politics, taxes, tariffs, whatever. It got overbought today. Starting to get in a position where it could have a little downside retracement, which is due. Maybe it'll climb up as high as 1074. Don't get too optimistic. There's resistance at around 1052. So I'm starting to look for a downside correction. I would be raising my protective self-stops closer to current quotes and tightening up a nice profit. Next, minor new high for a day or two, minor higher close on soybean oil, climbing a little bit, but no reversals, nothing special, just bouncing off support very nicely yesterday. I really would love to see a close above my reversal bearish engulfing signal day on August 5th, which worked okay. Not great, but worked okay. So that would kill that reversal and leave room for a move all the way up to the highest high. The head and shoulder bottom has not been violated. It just had a larger downside correction than I would have originally expected, bouncing off support yesterday. So I'm starting to look for new highs. Support's working. Next, getting overbought for the second day in a row in soybean meal. It's been a long time since we've seen that, since last December. So it's looking for a little retracement. Soybean meal really has a big problem. It's got this huge resistance above the market. I think maybe it could get there. But the key here is the next time it has a little retracement, will it hold and then start making new highs again? That's going to take a week or two or three or four or whatever, a while, probably. Now you're supposed to start looking for short-term downside corrections because we're getting overbought. Next, oversold in corn. Yesterday, new low close, crash. Little bounce today, oversold. I can't justify much. There is a nice gap to close way up here, so I'm talking about maybe 417, which isn't bad considering you're at 374, but that's a stretch. Next tweet, oversold today, just barely. A little divergence, new low in price, not on the indicator. Did have a bearish engulfing 2 days ago that has now worked. Even today's high is lower than the reversal day 2 days ago. That's great. Oh, wait, I'm goofed. I'm goofed up. That was a bullish engulfing 2 days ago that failed right away. The next day, yesterday, it dropped below the low of the bullish engulfing. That's what happened. Sorry about that. Green RSI right here was oversold. Had an outside up day. Not particularly obvious, but that's what it did. So, double bottom? Maybe. Rally up to resistance. That's the best I can do. Not a big deal. Sideways, shell, locked in a hard spot in a rock, waiting for breakouts. Overbought, climbing a little more. Apple might get to the top of resistance at 236. I'm looking for a turn down because of overbought now for 4 days. And fairly overbought, low 80s, 81. Next. RSI now overbought 3 days in a row at around 77 for today's high. It just barely broke out of a pennant formation Monday, a little follow through yesterday, and a little bit of a dip today. The key now is to make sure it stays above the old bearish resistance line, which is the top of the pennant. If it does not, it's going to get trapped back into this pennant again. Maybe. So bounce up. Next. NASDAQ, NVIDIA, pretty much inside day, bounced off the trend line again. It's a darn good trend line. I don't talk about trend lines very often, but this has the 1, 2 you got to have to start with. 3, we can call that 4, 5, 6, 7 times. It's come very close to, or just through it a little bit and bounced. You don't see 7 very often. Next, back to E-mini. You guys have a great trading day and profitable trading to you.